and welcome back, adventurers, to another episode of Let's Play ChäoS Head. In the last episode, Takumi tried to impose upon Rimi his theories that he might himself have the ability to bring delusions into reality without the use of whatever device that, or methods that Victor Convio University had managed to come up with for doing so. A notion that she, of course, laughed off without any sort of, I lost my train of thought there, but in other words, she simply brushed it off nonchalantly, which was to be expected. However, it wasn't what Takumi had been hoping for. Meanwhile, Ban has been following his investigation through the G-rate phenomena that he learned from none other than this woman, Momose, or Momo-chan, as he refers to her, who is the head of Frisia Investigations, basically she was the person who tipped him off about G-rates to begin with. It's very important because the staking murder, the very individual who Takumi Nishijo himself initially ran into, was a man by the name of Professor Ota, who himself was actually a very prominent lecturer on the subject. However, he died shortly before his program on the subject was going to be aired, and on that note, that episode of that show was also ominously cancelled. And Ban is digging his nose into things that are definitely above his pay grade. That is a very good question, because there is no going back, Ban Yuzuji.
社会の暗部に踏み込むことになるわよ。いいの？
As I said in the previous episode, wheels within wheels.
パンちゃん、クビになるかもしれない。
Oh, I think losing his job might be the least of his concerns.
俺はニュージェネ事件の犯人さえ捕まえられりゃそれでいいんだけどね。
If only it would lead to that. If only. One can hope.
まあ、どうするかは答えを聞いてから考えるな。
But I think Ban is going to push all his chips in on this one, which may not be the sensible answer, but it's in keeping with his usual method of doing things. As she sipped her tea, Momose used her left hand to type at her notebook PC. A document appeared on the LCD monitor. There she had enumerated the results of her personal investigation.
Meiwato.
Meiwa Party. I'm going to assume they're a political party and not a regular run-of-the-mill have fun kind of party. As to who they are, I wish I could look up in the tips, but unfortunately I can't. So I think we're going to have it explained to us by Momose anyway, so...
ももちゃん、勘弁してくれ。俺はてっきり野党の名前が出てくると思ってたんだがな。よりによって。
Ah, so the Meiwa Party isn't the opposition, but in fact the ones running the Japanese Diet. That is basically their parliament. In other words, they are the powers that be, not the other way around. Ban groaned as though it had grown tedious. But his eyes weren't smiling. Far from it. They held a detective's sharpness. Not that we can tell right about now, because they're currently closed.
下手したらこの国が揺らぐぜ。
So in other words, somehow there is a connection to New Gen that goes all the way to the top, the very top. How very ominous. How very Chunibu and how very Horin Kioma, if I do say so myself. And we switch back to Takumi without a transition this time, which is kind of weird. I certainly couldn't have Rimi come over to my base over the weekend, so I spent a worrisome 2 days alone. Rimi brought me fresh supplies of food in advance on Friday, so I'd stayed shut up in my base without taking a single step outside. But even then, there were countless times when my anxiety almost drove me to email Rimi, saying, "Please come over." Probably wouldn't have hurt to do that at least once or twice. In the end, I never pressed send, but I was only freed from my nervousness during the 30 minutes when I was watching Bloodtune's final episode. Even under these circumstances, I made sure to keep up with Bloodtune. Because if Rimi had become that which had held me up in the third dimension, my source of support in the second dimension was Bloodtune, or rather, Seratan, aka Sarah Orgel. On Monday, when I had somehow made it through the weekend, when I browsed the Phantasm Comet Furipara, it was remarkably full of flaming, and I quickly followed a link to @channel. It was an epic thread in progress. That certainly doesn't sound good. Oh dear. Of course, people have already found out that Fez's real name is Ayase Kishimoto. But turns out that she apparently used to be a patient in a psychiatric ward. And of course this revelation has caused everyone to basically go crazy, because that's the way the internet works, of course. Of course, there are many anonymous doubters to that statement. However, yeah, this thread is currently going nowhere fast. I wonder what HAM stands for. Arcot Medical Group. And apparently they have a record of her being confined there. And of course, they've realized that that is the truth. Seems like most of these people are going to abandon Phantasm anyway, which means that they weren't actually true fans, but just trend followers. Alas. That's odd. Apparently the Phantasm site's been shut down. I went to the URL 12 had pasted in. Arcade Medical Association. Wonderfully ecologically clean place where excellent instructors guide all children to always do the right thing. Put that on a cereal box. The Arcade Medical Group was a long-time psychiatric facility that accepted only patients with severe mental illnesses. Ayase just happened to be one of them. But of course, she's out in society, and she is actually functioning quite well. So I don't see what all the fuss is myself. From what the site showed of the hospital's appearance, all the windows had bars in them, making it look like an aging prison. I didn't know if it was still in existence. In any case, the homepage hadn't been updated whatsoever for the past 4 years. Except, just as the people from our channel had said, the site had included a picture of the young Ayase Kishimoto and a poem she had written.
Ayase は精神病。
Well, turns out you were not wrong when you called her a mental patient back in the underpass. And there's a picture of a young Ayase. Adorable, really. The shadow of a wicked heart lurks within you, that which cannot be seen. No matter how I try to leave, unawakening nightmares become a sword in the end, and come to slash me apart. When with the shield called apathy, people evade the flames of war. My reborn battlefield enemies are those with spite in their hearts. At times malice possesses its own will and shows us its form. This could be connected to how she managed to obtain her D-sword. Then again, maybe not. It wasn't that it particularly shocked me. When I was in elementary school, I had myself regularly gone to a hospital psychiatric ward. That was why, on the contrary, I sympathized with her. Just as she sympathized with you for being chased down by the police, Takumi. Ayase was the same as me. She was the same as me, even with her incredible aura and her charismatic way of drawing Shibuya's youth to her. This common point between us, the two of us, lent a certain veracity to the hypothesis that she and I might possess the same power. The ability to project delusions into reality. Of course, she has gone a step further by actually being able to manifest a D-sword from the very fabric of space-time itself. It'll be safe to say that this lent me courage and hope, because we don't really have much left. Only, there was just one problem. Up until now, I'd taken everything Ayase told me at face value, but that might have been a mistake on my part. How to obtain a D-sword. That I would be saved if I obtained one. I began to have doubts, not just about the phenomena that she had shown me, but rather about the words she had spoken. Because Ayase has only communicated in metaphor, poetry, and hyperbole. I think, as harsh as she is, we might actually get a clearer answer by trying to get information out of Senna regarding acquiring a D-sword. Should I believe her, or... The abrupt sound of my phone's ringtone made me jerk. Cell phones sure seem to enjoy catching me by surprise. This was what I hated about them. Probably should have put it on silent then. Clicking my tongue, I picked up the phone as it went on ringing even more annoyingly. The caller had to be Nanami. She was definitely going to shower me with their useless and belated complaints again. Ah, what a pain. Looks like we're going to have to put the case of Ayase on the back burner for the time being. Was what I thought as I pressed the button to put me through and laid the phone against my ear, all without checking the caller's number. Why hadn't I? Why just this one time hadn't I checked the caller's number? I don't know why, but I think it's going to be a mistake that will cost us. Oh, it's that theme again. The incredibly loud melody I heard coming through the phone. Let me pass. The crossing theme. I hastily confirmed the number displayed on the LCD screen. This number, as I thought. The one that when Nanami called was supposed to have been disconnected. 03X733X991. No. Why? Wasn't it supposed to be out of use? Or maybe that was a ruse to make us think in that direction. When I had Nanami call it to make sure, hadn't that announcement played at us? Indeed it did. Something fishy is going on here with this number. Or else had the prankster brought the number back? I think they most certainly did.
どうしよう。
Wonder if it's gonna do the same thing again. Play Let Me Pass a little bit more and then go into a droning screech that is going to bleed our eardrums. Panicking, I turn back toward the center of the room. Surely Rimi would be there, and she'd give me some kind of advice. She wasn't. Surprise, surprise. Of course not. Rimi was taking classes at school right now. Because I told her ahead of time that I wouldn't be coming to school today, she hadn't come to pick me up in the morning. Of all the times. As I stood there, shaken up, Let Me Pass continued playing through the cell phone. A full minute had already gone by. We should probably hang up while the hanging's good. I'd only caught a little bit of it before, but I'd heard some noise aside from Let Me Pass. Even if you limited only to the sounds I could recognize, there were car engines and people's footsteps, so it must be outdoors. Probably at a pedestrian crossing. Who the hell was the person calling me? I could only think of one who might set up this kind of hoax. Shogun. Troubled, I looked at the Seriton standing next to my PC.
どうしたらいいと思う、セーラ。
The sensible thing to do would be to hang up, but I doubt you're going to do the sensible thing. Seriton faced me with the exact same smile as always.
切っちゃえばいいさ。無視無視。
As much as I would hate to disagree with an anime delusion, Sarah Augur was right on this front, and I'm embarrassed to say that.
そっか。そうだよね。その手があった。
I think it's too little too late, though. Of course, I should have done that from the start. I'd laid my thumb against the phone's end call button. But for some reason, before I cut it off, I thought I'd listen to Let Me Pass one more time for a little bit longer. It felt strange even to me. It creeped me out, so I should have wanted it to end it as soon as possible. I, mostly unconsciously, took the cell phone in my grip and lifted it to my ear. This is a mistake. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be out of Takumi's hands. Oh dear. It came surging out of the phone. Ghastly pain. The violence of a noise like ultrasonic waves. That sound infected my body. An impact like lightning struck my head. My whole body went petrified. I screamed my lungs out, but I couldn't hear my own voice. It boiled. My brain. My heart. They boiled, they bubbled, they melted in globs. Well, this is certainly different from before. Much different. Pain chewed through my body from the inside, crawling around me. My consciousness went liquid and coursed through me until in the end it arrived at my heart and exploded and scattered into mist. Those incoherent sensations controlled me, leaving me unable to think about what was happening. Yeah, looks like they've raised it to the next level. Wondering what it is. When Yua Kusunoki slowly opened her eyes, she saw that her class, Year 3 Class B, was in an uproar. I don't think I need to tell you why that might be. Because I think what happened to Takumi Nishijo wasn't just limited to him anymore, unlike the previous time. That is going to be it for this episode of Let's Play ChäoS Head, and when we return, adventurers, what chaos has been wrought on this very day, I wonder. Probably a lot. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.